They get capped quick. They be out the game early.
Unless they some smart-ass pawns.
This is not meth.
We haven't missed a beat. 11 to 12, nothing. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Yeah, we're back. Another episode. Wire, Oz, Breaking Bad. We're in the middle of season 4 of Oz and season 3 of The Wire, and we're starting episode 1, 2, and 3 of Breaking Bad. I love the intro also with all these characters that, don't matter. Some of them don't even matter anymore.
I was just thinking that. I was like, oh, I miss Tuco.
Yeah, and if this is the Walter that meets Tuco now, he just shoots him in the face. So, it doesn't really, he wouldn't even do that. Matt, the defender of all shows, how are you, and how was your viewing experience?
Doing good. I feel like this was a good viewing experience. It was an odd one, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll peek behind the curtain. Last week was July 4th for us when you're watching this. We planned to do an episode. Things got in the way. We already watched the episodes, and then we pushed this a week. So this could be our best episode. Chances are it will be our worst.
We are kind of older, so our memories aren't the strongest. Yeah. But hey.
And peek behind the curtain, I just argued about Disney characters and Sinbad, Legend of the Sins. So my brain is mush currently. So and I already struggle to remember characters at all. Next up, the reason for the delay, the disrespectful, the procedural, the police procedural loving, Wire defending, Oz hating, Breaking Bad indifferent, Mark, the big chill, Menchaca. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm indifferent now. What am I doing here if I'm indifferent? Although it mentioned me Oz hating, I'm still here anyway. Listen, showed up. We had an 11, this is basically an 11 win streak. That's an amazing win streak. Yeah. That's a great.
And a holiday took us down. A holiday took us down. If we're being real, it wasn't like he.
Spoiler alert! It's going to happen again at Thanksgiving. So.
Yeah, we will, but we will plan ahead for that. We won't watch. We won't watch. We will just take the week off, and maybe December we'll just put a pin in some stuff. But we'll be there. And then I am Cody, the Breaking Bad loving, Oz middle of the road, and some would argue the Wire hater. I throw more shade at the Wire than normally. It's truth be told, I love Mark Menchaca more than most people in this community, but I like the angry Mark Menchaca. I like to poke him. I like to get him riled up. He knows this, and he plays my games very well. So. We're here. We're going to talk about Oz like we did last week. When you're watching this, we're kind of just passing around the baton. We're each taking shows. We're each talking about it. It worked really well last week. We'll see how this week goes because, again, this could be very short or very on point. But we'll try to help the roundtable discussion as it goes. So Oz is first. So Matt, because Mike's not here, gets Oz. So that's kind of how that works. By the way, we do not know if Mike is all right. We just want on the record. No response still.
We assume he's asleep or in a coma of some sort, but I'm sure he's
maybe working. Who knows?
He might be in Oz, but hey. So pretty much, so we're starting off with episode 7 of season 4. I didn't write down episode titles this week, so hey, that's life. So we start off with
pity, without pity. A town without pity is this one.
That's a fitting title, I guess. So we have our guard, Mrs. Howell and Ryan are making whoopee, as they have been around the prison, it seems. and that's going to help Ryan out because he's going to use her to help him with his Nikolai problem, as Nikolai is getting ready to come back into Oz. And of course, Querns warns Ryan that if anything happens to him when he comes back, he's going to blame him. But Nikolai's request before he comes back is to take a nice bath, which Howell helps out and plays some music for him and tosses a was it I don't even remember, was it a radio or hair dryer tosses into the bathtub
and she also sexually assaults him, if we want to be real.
yes well
he wasn't complaining.
He wasn't assaulted, but yeah.
There was sexual encounter. She's a pervert.
Yeah, so he dies, and I'm sure the police or the prison guards are just going to assume that he was trying to dry his hair and accidentally killed himself. So that's an open and shut case. But then I do
love when Ryan Gord's like corners him, like when he walks in, he interrupts him. He goes, "Oh, I heard what happened to Nikolai. Did you hear that?" He's like, "Looks like he got taken out before he got to Oz." He's just basically like tattle on himself, but he couldn't do anything about it. It's a great poem.
Which, going off of what we know from Curran so far, I feel like he would have probably thrown him in the hole for just saying that. But hey,
yes,
we can't take Ryan out of the show. So we go to death row. Moses' appeal is denied, and he is starting to kind of feud still with his kind of cellmate there in death row, the guy next to him doing his artwork. So Moses decides he's going to take a page out of the mole's book and starts digging in his wall. So
what is these walls made of?
I'm pretty sure it's paper mache or something.
It is. He digs that thing in a huge chunk of them. Like, why do we have cells? Why do we have any of this? And
he's able to really quick get posters and stuff down there too for himself. So I guess death row, you can make requests for things.
You got FedEx. You can order FedEx right away.
And then we go over to Keller telling Stephen King that he's going to kill him for the lie that he told Beecher. Schillinger said that he would protect him, but then tries to have him killed anyway. And in a really funny scene where Schillinger's number 2 guy and Keller both show up to kill Stephen King, and Stephen King ends up having a heart attack because he's terrified of the two of them. So he's dead. Hank Schillinger went free on a technicality for the kidnapping and murder of Beecher's son. Gotta love it.
Well, was it because they didn't read him his rights?
I think, yeah, something about they didn't read him his rights or something like that. Some sort of police technicality that messed up, and the lawyers were able to take advantage of it. So everyone's happy about that. Hank does visit Vern and asks him for some money so he can get out of town. I think he's taking a trip down to Florida, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Beecher, not too happy about this turn of events, attacks Schillinger. And then he asks Pacamo to arrange a hit on Hank. Beecher has a visit with his daughter, and I guess he has a change of heart after that, and he tries to cancel the hit, but it's too late. Hank is dead, and he's told that they will never find the body. Okay.
Good mobsters, no body found.
that would have been a good opportunity for a Sopranos crossover.
Right.
Riverdale is out of the hole, and his bloodthirst has subsided. He apologizes to the mole.
Crazy.
And we discover that he has a brain tumor. So that's fun.
You know what, Mark? Hey, Mark? That would have been a better character arc. Maybe give him terminal cancer before he went on a killing spree.
I guess that can explain his sudden blood.
Oh yeah,
a brain tumor might make you act a little wacky out of character.
And they tell him to kill him before he has any medical thing like it.
And because of this, they take him to another hospital. The mole is upset he didn't get to see him, so he starts digging another hole. So this will be his third hole he's working on in Oz here. Lieutenant Daniels is still undercover, and he's going to bring in another undercover cop that he can sell drugs to help secure his cover. Hill is questioned about the ex-cop's murder, so they're still looking into that. Arif has asked Saeed to lead the Muslims again. We have more white prisoners are transferred out of Oz. Mondo Brown comes in and he joins Adebisi's crew. Racial tensions are rising once again. we thought we had solved it all, but it's only getting worse now. Adebisi is having house parties in his cell.
I'm sorry. I don't know what house parties you have, but Coke and liquor that just outlaid to just flow. What the hell? And there's only a sheet hiding it? All right, cool. Got it.
Well, I mean, it's up on the second floor, so no one can hear what's going on. So, Adebisi had Pacamo and Morales sent to Unit B. He now has Supreme Allah and Poet become the new trustees along with him. Schillinger talks to McManus about Emerald City, and he suggests that maybe he'd make Unit B all white.
Yeah, why
not? Saeed also talks to McManus and says that he has a plan, and his plan is to join Adebisi so he can kind of get the information that he needs to help bring him down. So that's kind of how that part ends. And the episode ends with Carver going full taxi driver on the governor and shooting him.
Did you do the Saeed and
Yeah, that's when he joins Saeed. They have
join and the dancing.
And everyone's reacting to it. I think Chris and Ryan are like, oh, Hill is froze over. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the episode. Ends with the assassination attempt on the governor. I mean,
is he dead? Did we find out if he dies?
No, we find out in the next episode he survived the assassination attempt.
Sad day, bad day.
So Carver can't really do anything right.
Yeah, right. Shocker.
Yeah.
It was a fine episode. I thought, like, it's very noticeable. We've talked about this. We are not going to treat it any different than like how we treat the show. Like, there's no part A and part B of the season. It's one giant thing. You can tell that this is going towards a cliff, like, and then it's going to start again. And after saying that we've all seen this now, we know that. We know how totally different 9 is compared to 7 and 8. But overall, the building blocks heading towards it, I enjoy it. I think it's really a smart strategy. Like, we kind of saw this thing happening, right? Like, McManus, we all like, you don't know what you got until it's gone. Like, we hated McManus. Now we're bringing this complete idiot. Now you'll wish you had McManus back. Honestly, no. I think they're both bad. I don't think either one should be. But like how it's progressing of like him allowing just the dumbest things possible is going to boil over at some point. So I thought it was interesting. I think it was a fine episode. The Carver stuff, I think it's just stupid. Like whatever. I think that I wish Hank came to Oz. I think that would have been better. I think Hank coming to Oz. I know they already did the one son, but he killing him, but him actually being killed like by Beechard. One explains why he's in there a little bit longer than he is, but then also like
if they put Hank in Oz with Beecher, then I would have no more hope for the administration of Oz.
Yeah, I just think it would be overall better because we get to see him die, but it's off screen. We don't even get to see a scene.
Yeah, we just hear that he gets killed. We don't see anything.
I think that's just lazy. Like TV show. Like I think that's just a lazy episode at that point. So that's my viewpoint on that. But Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of liked it. Kind of liked this episode. There are definitely, some silly ass things in this one. We mentioned the Carver storyline. I think that was because I mentioned this a couple times. I have watched most of Oz, but not all of it, and I'm kind of figuring out kind of how much I've seen of it. I remember Carver shooting the governor and thinking, okay, wow, that was really stupid. It was one of those signs of I think maybe I'm close to being done with this show, but the Beecher stuff is still interesting. I mean, I like the at least the stuff with O'Reilly. Like, I mean, it would make sense for O'Reilly to want to get a guard on his side. However, like, bro, like, where have you been the whole time? Like, this lady's head is a bag of cats. Like, what, like, I don't know what the end game here is.
I mean, he got her to kill somebody, so I mean, it worked for the time, but he underestimates his ability to control her. That's all. All right, so going into the next episode here, like I said, we found out the governor did actually survive the assassination attempt, but the warden has decided to withdraw from the race because of this. So now he's back full on working in the prison. They are still investigating the murder of the ex-cop. Hill figures out that Lieutenant Daniels is a cop, and he gets beat up for it. And then Lieutenant Daniels ends up confessing for killing the ex-cop and is arrested. So that pretty much, I guess, is the end of his storyline. I hope that they wouldn't put him back in Oz.
Yeah, well, they probably
would. Cyril is upset about Ryan and Officer Howell. Ryan gets Sister Pete to talk to him, and then Cyril actually restores Sister Pete's commitment to God, so she's no longer thinking about leaving. I guess her talk with Cyril was a real good talk for her, so good for them. Ryan tries to break it off with Howell. However, she tells him no, she's in charge. So as Mark was saying, he maybe picked the wrong guard to get buddy with. Riverdale is back. I guess they took out his tumor. He's good to go now. He's good. Miss Sally comes to visit the mole, but it's not actually her. It's her assistant. She read his letters, and she's all
fucking weird. Fucking weird as shit. Like, the girl's not ugly. She's attractive. Like, what the fuck are you? What? Like, gosh. And did we also talk about like McManus and getting into it with they're like talking about like the battles between the thing, and Sister Pete finally drops the will you shut the fuck up? Like, great moment of her. Oh, and like Father Ray was like, oh my, like, no, let Sister cook, let her talk. So I thought that was really great because like, and they tell her to calm down while everybody, the two bitches are yelling at each other. Like, let Sister Pete cook.
We're back to death row where Moses has a breakthrough. He gets through the wall and he strangles Rembrandt to death. So he is now the last man standing on death row.
Okay, I want this on record. As much as I thought D'Angelo's death in The Wire was dumb, a guy that is stuck between a wall and has his arm through, he could have fallen backwards and lived.
Oh, he had a death grip on that throat. So.
Shut up. He ain't gone. Like, I was shocked. Like,
I mean, he was in shock too, and R came through the wall and started strangling him. He didn't have time to think.
I mean, and like, who feels bad? He's on death row. Like, I missed just the warning. What the fuck are these walls made of? Like, that's something you should ask. You have the weakest walls. There's stronger walls in Oz than there are in this situation. Like, well, the floor is weak in Oz, in Emerald City, but apparently death row, these walls are made of paper mache. We had to cut costs somewhere.
I think a writer must have just had the image of someone strangling someone through a wall, and then they just worked backwards to get to that point.
I love when an officer's coming down, like he runs and like put the poster over it. Like, oh, what? Nothing to see here. Well, but what's that plaster all over the floor? Don't worry about it.
Oh, he's probably
my wall is sweating. Stop. Leave it alone. Like, let me just kill this guy. Okay.
Oh,
nice.
Hank's wife comes to visit Vern and tells him that Hank is missing and that she's pregnant. So that's fun stuff. Keller kills somebody.
I hope that baby comes out black. I want it so bad.
Well, in the previous episode too, when Hank came to see Vern and asked for the money, he had a different girl with him too. So I guess he ran off with that girl down to Florida. So which I'm sure Vern wouldn't have been happy with either. But yeah. So then Adebisi is investigating the murders because I know Corns told him that the murders are not good. I'm giving you free reign as long as there's no murders. So he's looking into that and trying to find out who did it so he can turn it into Corns. Keller then also kills Mondo Brown and frames the Supreme Allah for it. So then he gets taken away for that. Saeed tries using Poet to get to Adebisi's explicit homemade videos of the partying that he's got going on up in the cells. Which that's another thing about these cells. Why do they have ceiling tiles that you can pick up and hide stuff in?
I think we also missed a point. At the end of the last episode is when he sends out the two like Italian mobsters out of like Emerald.
No, he sent them both out to Unity.
So now it's even more like even the two people that they trusted, and he replaced them with King Allah or whatever, and whoever the other person was, a poet.
Yeah.
Those are the top. So he basically has now made, besides 7, he's made it all African American in there, which is fine, but it's literally. If I was in Unit B,
the only white people are the others group.
Being Unit B, like what? Wait, more? What? No, like this doesn't work.
Yeah, apparently McManus has no say in people getting transferred to Unit B, but hey, that's another thing. So then Saeed moves in with Adebisi so he can try to get the tapes himself. Adebisi, who knows that Saeed is plotting against him, he's okay with it, and he tells him that he admires him, and he gives him the videotape as a final test of trust to see if he can trust Saeed. So he immediately turns the tape over, and then Corns gets fired. McManus gets M City back real quick. He immediately transfers Adebisi out, but before he can get out, Adebisi and Saeed get in a fight. And Adebisi walks out. It looks like he has killed Saeed, but oh, nope. He spits up blood, and Adebisi is dead. So R.I.P. Adebisi. We're going to miss you. And that's how this episode, not the season, but the episode ends.
I think that I have a huge problem. I think this is such a waste. Like, I understand I want characters dying. I've voted for that. I don't think Adebisi's a sacrificed character. He's so crucial at the coming and going, and they don't have a replacement that is interesting enough on that side that I care about. Like, Adebisi's crazy as fuck, and you don't know what he's going to do, and now we just lost it on that side from a death that I think is just forced, you know? I just think, I understand they had to make a move at some point, but I don't know if he's the move that you take. It seemed weird. Like, I think I almost would be okay if Saeed if he died.
Yeah, because I mean, you have characters similar to Saeed that are kind of like moral high ground type characters still. I mean, you got
and like haven't we fleshed out him basically? Saeed as a character? Like,
yeah, but I mean,
he's winning his ups, he's winning his downs. I think that was the high of NBC. I don't think he could have gotten in trouble. He could have been like, I don't know. I think there was more, but maybe I'm wrong. It depends how the rest of the season goes.
Yeah, because he would have got transferred out because there's no way McManus would have kept him in there after all that stuff. So then he would have been over in Unit B with Schillinger, and he probably would have been dead soon anyway. So he probably wouldn't have had any support over there. So, I mean, and I don't know, maybe the actor had something else going on too, so it was time for him to go. But yeah, it's going to be tough because Adebisi is definitely one of the more fun characters to watch.
Also, the weight loss of the tattooed guy that you see every episode is just amazing. The dude, when he started and he came to Oz, the tattooed Aryan guy, was fat, big, bloated. Now he looks like he's just not eating in Oz at all. Like, he has gotten so small from the start of Oz to, like, right now. That weight program was really working in Oz. I thought that was hilarious. I kept that as a note. I was like, that man is just like shrinking by the day. He used to be so intimidating. Now he's not that intimidating at all. Side tangent, sorry.
Yeah, Oh, 2000. Okay, maybe he was doing. Just kind of looking through here, like
Oh.
Yeah.
just kind of curious about, you know, yeah. I wonder if anybody act. Yeah, because I was about to say the actor name. I wonder if anybody actually knows Adebisi's actor name. They just call him Adebisi. It's like, listen, we can't say your name. I'm sorry. Like, there's so many vowels where there shouldn't be vowels. Like, we don't know what to
Yeah.
do here. We're sorry, and we
I
don't want
think I was in a match with Cody where he was asked to spell that name, but
Probably.
although just looking through, he was maybe starting to film The Mummy Returns. So like maybe he was getting something. Thought that was pretty
Don't bring
big.
that up.
I don't even
Don't
remember
bring
him
that
being
up.
in that. So
Well,
I think
actually,
it's probably was just time for that character, but
It,
I'm sure they could have kept it going, but it would have been probably repetitive. But yeah,
it probably. I mean, the wild card aspect of Oz, I think, is pretty well covered still with O'Reilly.
yeah.
Like the like I have enjoyed Adebisi's run on this show honestly quite a bit. I feel like he's been an interesting foil for a lot of people, and honestly, like I think how they built him up was really nice because I think he looked like a character that wasn't super important and just kind of slowly became more important as the show went on, and especially that scene where he died, like it like I like that scene a lot. It's honestly one I go back to quite a bit just because like okay, like we're in a situation where both of these are huge characters. I think the show could survive if either one of them were to die, and it could literally be either one of them. And I'm kind of wondering if at some on some end like they almost structured the scene in a way of, well, it could actually be either, we could show either one of them dying in the scene. Like as a whole, like I like this episode a lot. A lot. It's probably one of Oz's best episodes, and although we kind of brought it up several times here, of Oz hasn't really had like a good season finale like throughout the time we've been watching it. And if this was
You're
the
right.
end of a season, it's
Great.
easily the best season finale. Like it's not even
But they
close.
ruined it by not making it a season
Not
finale.
even close. Thank you, Sopranos.
Like it's funny how it works out that way, but you know what?
Jeez.
It's still a very good episode. It's very good, and I think it's definitely a huge. It's probably one of the biggest deaths we're gonna see in this show. Like I unless near the end, like they get rid of some big names, but I like Adebisi's probably gonna be near the top of the list of people that are going down.
No. Okay. Oh, that leads us to episode 9 of season 4, not episode 1 of season 5. It's episode 9 of season 4. So a TV crew is coming to Oz to make a nice video. We also found out the court found Saeed innocent of, they said it was self-defense, so he's good. We do have a new prisoner coming to Oz who could replace Adebisi, Omar White.
I hate him. He is. This episode started, and I literally stopped and I said, "This is why I left the show."
Yeah.
I hate him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so bad.
Rough.
He is so bad.
It doesn't get better.
No, it doesn't. I know it doesn't.
And the TV crew is, so they've selected him to follow him as his first day at Oz. The crew goes around interviewing people. Beecher talks about how the prison has changed him. Keller talks about drugs and sex. The TV crew really does seem to kind of focus in on Keller and Beecher and Schillinger. Poet tells the TV crew about what happened to Adebisi, so they go off and try to investigate that a little bit, but it doesn't really go anywhere. McManus tells them they should be looking at Querns, not the prison, and Querns tells Leo he needs to destroy the Adebisi tapes, which he does.
Why were those still around? I'm with Querns on that one. Why did he put those in a bonfire after he fired Corns. Like, what are you doing, man? You're
Corns
not
comes
running
back
for
and
office
goes,
anymore. It makes no sense to keep them.
Corns comes back and goes, why the hell am I getting called for this shit? You told me no one would find out. Well,
Sure,
you
Leo was
think I
probably
should
using it for
shred them?
insurance, but
Also, Leo, you want to know another bad thing of season 5, episode 1, basically, is why he decided no facial hair. Like, do you remember season 3? Full beard, just angry looking Leo, and now he's like, "Oh, I'm no longer running. Now I'm going to go clean shaven." You look like a pussy. Oh, I hate it.
I'm sure that was probably Ernie Hudson probably had a higher paying job where they're like, "Oh, you need to shave."
Yeah, probably. I would guess.
So yeah, the reporter guy Eldridge, he interviews Ryan. We find out that Ryan and him have some history, and Ryan is not a big fan of him. Ryan tries to use Omar White to kill Mr. Jack Eldridge, but Omar White attacks him too soon. That doesn't work. We find out
the
Omar
knife
White
play from these fucking idiots. They are terrible with knives. When they need to attack, no one can do it. If they're coming out, they have to be behind them to have a shot. If there's ever a front, you're done. Can't do it. Yeah. Won't do it.
I mean, Omar was going to be alone with him in a cell at nighttime, but he decides to attack him during the day in front of a bunch of guards. So
because he thought he was talking bad about him, and like Ryan tries to stop me, like, "No, man, no!" I'm like, "Oh, great, ooh!" Couldn't somebody just pull out the gun and shoot him right then and there, and we'd be better?
Yeah, Ryan discovers Omar White is not a tool he's going to be able to use super well for things. But then Eldridge decides instead he's going to spend the night in the cell with Cyril. Cyril ends up remembering Eldridge. He has flashbacks and blames him for his mother's death, and he attacks him, beats the crap out of him. He survives, though, but the network decides they're not going to continue with the show after all. They cancel that. And
they stopped looking. They stopped looking into the tapes, and the girl like disagrees with it. But like,
she quits. She gets upset and all that. But yeah. So,
what a bullshit line too! She gets punched in the face multiple times, and then he gets the fucking shit beat out of him, and then looks and goes, "Did you get it all? Fuck you!" Like such a TV line. It's just garbage.
Oh, Jerry Springer said the same thing.
Also, I understand you want to do this stuff. Do you like? I don't know where the other nearest prison is. I don't know. Like maybe it's too far of a drive. Don't go to fucking Emerald City. Everybody dies. Like you're lucky to be living. He should have died.
This high-tech prison experiment. They wanted to check it out.
High tech. They have cameras. They literally let a drug like they were getting high for the entire season 4. Mark. I thought it was a fine. I honestly hate this episode. I think it's a bad episode.
It's not a good. It's definitely like one of their bad season premieres. Like, even though it's not a season premiere.
When you have one go out and the other come in, and it's Adebisi's leaving, and the other one is replaced by the one that gets more screen time, you don't even get good character development from the other characters. Like they're all subdued in this one. They're like all in front of a camera. They're all doing this other interesting stuff. It doesn't like move the story. Like we don't get any.
None of the stories.
Vern and Schillinger, Keller and them are just doing interviews. Ryan, there's no like plots or anything. And the one plot it is hey, this new guy, go kill him. I ain't a fan.
Yeah.
Loved it. Fucking loved it. Just fucking send it to the moon, baby. Let's go.
I don't really dislike it or probably hate it more than you two, but I'm not gonna sit here and disagree with you. Like I was a lone defender of that season 2 episode where we're trying to figure out who killed that guy. I can't even remember.
The investigation, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it just on some end. Like it was interesting kind of watching somebody go through Oz and trying to solve something, and especially kind of going through the rest of these characters. I feel like there was an air of tension like throughout that episode, and that's not here. We're just kind of going around. It really did feel like we didn't really know where to push the rest of these characters, and let's just introduce a TV camera here, and like let's do some interesting stuff. And and like there wasn't really a whole lot extra to do with this one. And although I think that did tickle me a little bit was that TV guy must have been a fan of this show, because the moment we get to like, no, we got to investigate this to figure out who really killed him, is like, this man was a murderer. Like, we don't need to look into this. I thought that was
What
funny.
do you mean?
We're not going to go down this road again.
I mean, I did think it was cool to bring like a different people who, from a different point of view, to kind of see the prison through their eyes. But the fact that they didn't like realize within a day of being there, like, wow, you guys suck at running this prison. These prisoners are getting away with everything. And they never really came at the warden or McManus or anything about that stuff. But
yeah, they're like the riot. That's yesterday's news. We don't care about that.
Okay, so on to the next one. I'm guessing we are going to Breaking Bad. Great season, last season. We're going to start back up. So basically, the episode where we left off last season was that Gail got shot in the face just by Jesse, and they just dropped him like a bad habit, which sad day for Gail, but great day for Walter. And again, I can't speak more highly about those two episodes. I think they're some of the best. But we start with this episode. It is known as Box Cutter. You think that means one thing, but we'll find out a little bit later. It opens with Gail opening up like all the stuff to be the cook. Well, basically open up all the equipment. So we learn he sets up the lab that Walt is about to use. And I think overall, like, it's kind of like determined beforehand of Gail. Gus doesn't want to use Walt. Like, he doesn't care about how pure. Like, we'll get close. That's fine. He's like,
96% is pretty good.
96% good, but he's like, no, this stuff is perfect. He's a master. Like, you need to use him. So basically, puts doubt in Gus's mind about using him. So that's the rub. Which again, Gus does the great facial expression of no facial expression, just death stares, to kind of like Gail to do the thing. We get back into it where I guess it kind of cuts back to Jesse. He's sitting there crying, like, after what he did. He's in the car when what's the guy's name? I never remember his
Victor.
name.
Victor, yeah.
Victor shows up, like, looks around, like, doesn't go in there, but people see him. He's clearly in there, and he finds Jesse in the car, sitting outside because Jesse hasn't moved. So he brings him in there. And they bring him back. They bring them both back to the lab and just waiting, basically. Walt doing what Walt does best, is just chatting. And at this point, Walt doesn't know that Jesse killed him. He's just assuming that he killed him, because if not, and when he sees Jesse walk in, he thinks he's kind of screwed at that point, because he's like, crap, they got him. But finds out he is killed. Victor and him have that whole conversation. And that's kind of how that leaves. Marie shows up, drops off bills for Skylar. Skylar is confused because Walt's car is still there, but there was like no conversation what happened. So she moves it, so Walt Jr. has no idea. As much as I hate Skylar, she's a pretty good right-hand woman in most of the stuff. Gets worse later in time, but she's good at this moment of it. Moves it. Walt being Walt, be like, we need to cook. Like, if we're going to make on schedule, I need to cook. So let me cook. Victor goes, fuck you, bitch, basically. Starts making the meth. Like, he's like, I watched this shit forever. Walt being cocky, like, talks and be like, I bet he's going to forget the aluminum. I bet he's going to forget. He grabs the aluminum and does it right then. So, like, there's all this stuff that just keeps adding up. Because he's getting nervous, because if somebody else can, the whole thing is no one else can cook like him. So if no one can cook like him, what's the use? So he ends up doing that. We get introduced to one of the best characters from Saul's group. Not really a real introduction. I don't know his character name off the top of my head, but the big African American guy just sitting there being like the security of the group, just like at Saul Goodman's like location. Him and Bill Burr, Bader's character, are going to have big parts for going forward. The whole thing is Skylar calls Saul and goes, "What the hell are you talking? Like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, don't call me and talk about this stuff over the phone." Skylar breaks into Walt's house basically with the kid, like gets to get broken into, figures that out. Hank is buying gems on the fucking internet.
The rocks.
The rocks, like he's chasing rocks before he got shot and like injured, and now he's like buying his own little rocks. So more power to him, which I think is funny. And then she comes home and like he's still using a bedpan and everything like that. What a wife of the year for that. And then,
you need to apologize for all the bad things you said about Marie, because she's a saint for putting up with Hank for all this crap.
I don't. And I think you guys were harsher on Marie than I was. Everybody knows me as a Skylar hater, not a Marie hater. But she has her moments, and then I would say best moment like of the episode by far, one of the best episodes ever. Gus enters the factory, and the devoid of sound, like talking, I think it lasts for like 3.5 minutes that there's nothing said ever. While he walks down, gets dressed, gets a suit, and then Waltz, of course, starts like talking to like, I had to do it, like I just didn't know, blah blah. And he like puts on like the full suit, takes everything off, and he goes in and grabs a box cutter, walks around Walt and Jesse, and then grabs Victor and slices Victor's neck and just basically slices it, squirts blood all over him, Mike, Jesse, and just lets him pour out. Mike's in shock. Jesse's in shock. Everybody's sitting there. And he takes off. He washes his hands. He gets dressed. And what is he? He says,
"Get back
time
to
to
work.
cook her. Get back to work." And then leaves. Like such a baller moment. Like he's like, "I let you live, fine." So they end up having to dispose of Hector's body. Again, putting that away. And then Jesse's kind of like devoid of like, he's gone. He's snapped. Like he's not him anymore. It's like, what? Like people kill us like crazy. Like we're gonna die one day. Like this is what's gonna end up happening. This is the life that we set up for when we killed Gale. Like this is it. He can cap us at any point, and they're eating Denny's, and then it ends with Walt walking back to get his car, talking to it, and them, the coroners and everybody, the detective in Gale's apartment, and they zoom in on the lab notes, like right at the end, and the episode ends. Box cutter for everybody. How was it for everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great episode. It's definitely kind of it comes down a little bit from the season finale, so it's kind of it's kind of lets everything breathe, lets you kind of sit in that situation with Walt and Jesse pretty much just sitting there the whole episode, not knowing what's going to happen to them. And then when Gus comes in, that whole sequence is great. Some of the other characters pretty much kind of setting up some of the things that have been going through this season, or at least for the first part of the season. But yeah, I mean, just for all the stuff going on down there in the lab, it's a great episode.
Yeah. I'll echo that 100%. It is kind of. I even though I think a lot of this episode does kind of hinge on one moment, it's a very good moment, and it leads the lead up to it was very good. Slight fun fact: this is actually the very first episode of Breaking Bad I watched. I was just kind of with my brothers because they were watching the show and they were excited Brad to come back, and I just happened to be in the room watching it, and I remember a thing I guess they had heard from like interviewers or something from Esposito or Vince Gilligan or whatever, that Gus was only going to say 5 words in this episode, and it was the thing like, wait, that doesn't that doesn't make any sense. Like what? Like after all the things that happened, how does he only say 5 things? The one line we get out of him was like, "Well, get back to work." Like, that's like it's as scary as we'll see Gus throughout this entire show. Like he just looks like a complete madman, and yeah, that's all we get from it. It's a great way to start.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Okay, we ready for the next one? Next one, 38 Snub. Basically, what ends up happening with this is Walt buys a gun. He's going to take out Gus. His belief is like Gus is going to take him out. He's got to take him out. So Jesse continues to divulge back into insanity. He starts throwing parties, getting high, like everybody else high around him. That's going to continue for a little bit.
He's a bad friend. He gets his guys who were like pretty much on the program getting sober, gets them high again.
Bad guy. Real bad guy. It's real hard to determine right now who the bad guy is, but it's Jesse's coming up more times than not. Walt is not. Walt sits in his apartment, basically sits across and like practices what would happen if the scenario happened. Marie and Hank are just losing their mind next to like that marriage is close to collapse because of him not doing it, her having to be the main caretaker, which she didn't sign up for. Walt and Skylar have like a conversation on the phone, but I don't remember what it's about. I don't think it's too important.
No.
Probably purchasing the car wash, yeah. But no, that's later. They're in their conversation. Walt goes to the apartment, to the lab with the gun and like does the most awkward pose when Mike's there. Like, what, buddy? I don't have nothing. Like, definitely, you got a gun, buddy. I don't know what you're thinking. Skylar is like camping out on the car wash, looking at the car wash, figuring it out. Hank's doing physical therapy, miserable always. The parties continue. Jesse, the girl from season 3, I don't remember her name. Angela? No?
Andrea.
Yeah.
Andrea. She shows up, basically, was this funny from you? Basically asking, like, and he gave her money to, like, have a better life, basically. Kid shows up, all that situation. Walt can be some of the smartest individual in the world, but he can also be the fucking dumbest. He gets in his car, he puts on his little fedora, he starts walking towards Gus's house and gets a call from Mike. Go home, Walter. And he doesn't know where he's at. He thinks he's just going to be able to walk in there and do it. He's not. Skylar sits down with the owner of the car wash to negotiate a price for it, and he's like, it's $800,000 for Walter White. He told me to fuck my eyebrows and hit my car, and he grabbed his crotch, like all these things like, and he's like, well, that's not going to work. And then Walter and Hank sit down, Walter and Mike sit down at the bar, and basically he talks about his plan to kill Gus, which, what the fuck are you thinking? Like, yeah, I'll get Mike on board with this to kill Gus. He ends up beating the shit out of him. Beats the hell out of him. He's like, what are you going to do with that gun? I saw it in the lab the other day. He's like, what? Like, yeah, he's going to take you out. What he just did to Victor, he'll do to you. Like, we got to do this together, blah, blah, blah. He just kicks the living shit out of him and leaves him basically for dead. Jesse buys a stereo system, turns it on, like sits in front of it, and just like lets it blare and goes to black. I think it was an okay episode. Again, I think we're still building the aftermath of the first season of the last season. You can't you can't continue at that apex the entire time. You're just going to run out. So you got to have setup. I think the car wash is crucial. I think the next steps in the business. I think Walt's like insecurity of what's going to happen. I think are crucial. So I think it's a good episode. It just needs work. I mean, it does what it needs to do. It doesn't need to be more and less.
It's a lot of setup in this episode, setting up stuff that's going to be happening. Hank is such a dick in these couple of episodes. Which, I mean, I guess I understand. He's going through a thing, but he's still a dick.
He's a bitch.
Why do they have to buy that car wash? Can't they just buy a different car wash? Won't that still work for their story and be easier?
I think it's because he worked at that one.
Yeah, but I mean, working at one car wash versus working at another car wash, I doubt it's that different. It's like, I found a love for car washes. This guy wouldn't sell to me, so I bought another car wash.
Not wrong.
And
I mean, go ahead.
And then the other thing, I was like, Jesse also bought a Roomba, and it pretty much killed itself by the end of this episode, trying to have to clean up after all these crackheads and everything. Poor little Roomba.
I thought it was funny just on some end because this is kind of the start of Skylar kind of being introduced in this world and how she kind of has a bit of an ego thing of like, no, fuck that guy. He called me a bitch. Like, we're taking his car wash. We're not gonna do any of this other car wash bullshit. And we're not doing any of that. And of course, wait, was that? No, I think I was about to skip ahead. I don't want to do that. But there was, I think, because I think I remember in previous season 3, kind of getting on season 3's episode because it felt like setup. Where I feel like this time around that is also true, but I do think like I think I'm enjoying it a little bit more, and also like I think this episode particularly puts characters like on a theme that I don't think we really had seen before, because the stuff with Jesse I think is pretty excellent. Is like kind of, I mean, we get a lot of like just comedy value out of it. Like the what's the best like video game zombies is like just a great funny scene.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole like bringing in with the pizzas that aren't cut. I think like I make that joke with my brothers all the time. I was like, oh, they don't cut it and they pass the savings on to you. And also, I think there's also this really nice underlying theme throughout this season of how Walt is not in control anymore. How kind of Walt is kind of flailing about for most of the season. I think this starts off that in a very subtle way.
Mm-hmm. And I think what you said too about the last season, that's kind of the difference, is because the last season's setup episodes was trying to get Walt back and get the group back together to get them going. Whereas this one is more about them just trying to survive and trying to figure out what they need to do to make it out of this alive. So it's still set up and stuff, but it's kind of different. There's more of an urgency to the setup this time around.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's kind of like he's flying like parachuteless. He doesn't know where to. He's reaching in 7 different directions. He just doesn't know where to fully go. So I do agree. Next episode was Open House, season 3. Walt walks in. He finds a camera in the moving camera in the basically motion detecting camera. He does his famous grin and anger looking at the camera, being like, bitch, stop looking at me. Skylar goes and checks on him. He says, I left 23 messages. He opens the door and looks like he just got beat the fuck out of. He's like, yeah, I'll be fine. Miscommunicated. It's no big deal. Got into a bar fight. He's like, you got into a bar fight? Yeah, I did. Marie's going to open houses. Hit the episode, basically walking around. Hank, bad guy, pissed off because she didn't get the right chips or whatever at the grocery store. Motherfucker, like, get off your fucking ass and go get it yourself. Like, the days before, DoorDash and Uber Eats and shit, your groceries, you can't
Now,
get
I
people to drop
guarantee
their.
you, she got him the chips he asked for. He's just
Yep,
looking for something to bitch about.
yep. Jesse Walt declines Jesse's invite to go karting, which I think is like one of the funniest points of the episode. Guess rain check. All right, no problem. Kind of checks in on him, knows he's not doing 100% well. Saul hasn't met a lot of women like Skylar before. He says, "Well, we're going to do a nail salon." No, the fuck, we're not. We're just not going to. Like, I'm not buying a nail salon. We're buying the car wash. So they end up battling over that. Leaves. She keeps going. Marie is going to a car wash and taking shit now. So that's fun. Like, now she's going to open houses and taking it. We'll see where that goes. Jesse's party keeps getting more and more extreme. More and more people are over. It's chaotic. Marie gets caught taking shit at the open house from the lady. She gets pretty mad at her. Walt, they call Hank and be like, "What the fuck is happening?" And she breaks down because of every stress that she's getting with Hank. She's lashing out. Oh, fun. Then we get a great character. Bill Burr shows up as the chief inspector to look at the water, and basically Skylar like walks him through like the law and everything. Basically, going to shut down the car wash business to make it more presentable for them to buy. I think it's a really great scene between that. Hank gets dropped off the file basically for Gail Bedecker, like looking through the stuff. Like when you got time, just look through it. I think you may be able to help because it looks like something with the meth situation. Skylar is negotiating with the car wash, basically declines the offer. Walt says she's gonna take it. Like, oh, he'll call back. He ends up calling back, takes the overall offer. The party is getting more and more out of control over at Jesse's. We don't currently know who, because there's a new guy in Gus's organization, the African American gentleman. We don't know it at the time but he's outside He's outside Jesse's house, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah. I think he's outside Jesse's house. And then Walt and Skylar celebrate by closing the car wash, and then Hank grabs the lab notes, and that's how the episode ends. Which will set up one of my favorite parts of next episodes is WW. I'll leave it there. I think it's great, it's awesome moment. Yeah, overall thoughts. I think we're heading in the right direction, especially Hank getting the lab notes and willing to look at it. I think helps our that's a major step going forward. Like, what is he going to find out about it, and how much is in there? Because that's the first time we look at the lab notes and how much does Walt's in there. Like right now, they don't know that the lab notes have been found, so I think that's curious. So, your guys' thoughts?
It definitely helps our Hank is currently being such a dick problem because it's going to give him something to do and get back to work. So that's good.
Thank God.
I thought I was curious that at the end where she yells at him about buying the wine and how they're supposed to be acting like they're broke and stuff. She hasn't paying the bills, but yet they're paying for all the Hank's medical bills. How can you be broke and paying for all these hospital bills at the same time? But hey, I mean, I guess she's got it all figured out, so that's good. But yeah, I mean, it's another one. These last two episodes of this, they're kind of set up stuff. But I mean, it's enjoyable. It was a good watch.
Yeah, think overall of the show have been a bit of a Skylar defender, a bit critical of Marie. However, a bit of a role reversal here, just because like I feel like before when we saw Marie's kleptomania, we're like, what are you doing? What are you doing, bitch? Like, you're just doing this for no reason. You're just kind of rattling cages to rattle them. Here, it's like, okay, she's just really fucking sad. I'm trying to help my husband. He's just being a giant asshole. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can empathize with Marie a little bit here. And then I'm sitting here and she's like getting on Walt's ass about buying the champagne. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, it's a bottle of fucking champagne. Like, the only people that are going to recognize that are like the fucking hens in their in their neighborhoods. Like, oh, he bought champagne. He says he doesn't have any money. Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, the whites just put out their trash can. Let's go look through it, see what they had this week.
Line? The fuck? I thought he had cancer.
I thought they were broke.
It's crazy. Okay.
Okay.
My time has concluded. Now on to Mark.
Alrighty. Well, we're gonna try.
Nothing happened in this week's episode, so you should be quick.
You know, I am going to break up, like I said before. You know, I think I'd said while we were. I'm going to try and make this a run somewhat similar to kind of how Matt has set up. I'm going to try to go through this in segments. Hopefully, kind of get through some of the other stuff quicker. So we'll see. Hopefully, we're not sitting here for an hour. You know, like we did last time. First episode 7, we got back burners. Going to start out because the first segment, talk about kind of roll through these first two couple quick, kind of going back into Cuddy's story. So I always want to check back in with Cuddy. I think he's kind of a neat guy. He's just back mowing lawns. He's trying to reacclimate into normal life, and he's not sure what to do. But he's sitting there with the head contractor guy who's putting him on. It's like, hey, maybe you ought to talk to somebody. You know, maybe like you can figure something else out. He's like, well, like there's a deacon guy I was talking to, but you know, I wasn't ready then. It's like, well, you seem ready now. And he ends up going back to the deacon guy, and he's kind of like going back into his life. He's not 100% sure like what he was doing. He's not even 100% sure where to go now, but he's just trying to figure out a new direction. And I think it's good old Deacon guy is gonna figure out something for him to go in. And real quick, I'm going to go into what I've dubbed as the political story, pretty much everything involving Carcetti and the mayor or whatever. Carcetti stops Burrell after he's gotten out of a meeting with the mayor. He asks him if he talked to him about the witness assistant program. Uh, Burrell was like, "Well, just told me not to get any more witnesses killed, and not much." So Tommy's kind of pissed about that. Tells Teresa kind of like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna, hit Mayor Royce on this." She's like, "No, that's kind of stupid. Maybe, and try to, catch him in a lie. Maybe try to go back at him. Try to figure out, if he does something, cool. If not, you can kind of use that to hit him whenever you announce you're going to run." And that's pretty much exactly what he does. He goes back, tries to meet with him again. Mayor Royce is like, "Listen, man, I don't know what kind of city you think we're running here. I don't have any extra money to throw witnesses. I'm gonna put him up in the fucking Hilton, whatever. You're so stupid." So you see him. He's writing a letter, trying to going to document that he addressed his woes. And I just thought this was kind of funny that I also included this the Teresa the whole McNulty thing. McNulty got Prez to look up information on Teresa. He ends up tracking her down to a party in in Washington D.C. The only reason I kind of brought this up, we brought up the GIF with Weebay before. One of my favorite gifs, honestly, is the McNulty smiling gif where he's all happy. And in the context of this, he just find out he's going to get laid. Thought that was just a great gif to throw in here, which then brings us to the Western District storyline. Everything involving Bunny Colvin, Carver, Herc, everything going on with Amsterdam. Bunny is starting to hear that crime is down all the way down in his district since going in Amsterdam. Things are now looking up. Bubbles is now there. He's selling his white T-shirts in Amsterdam. He's looking around, seeing a bunch of hell happening in the street. Finds Johnny. He's just like gotten like he's more heroin than blood at this point. Carver
Facts.
is starting to notice that too many kids running around Amsterdam because they made everything legal. They don't need their runners or people yelling "popo" around the corner. They're pretty good. All the drug guys have kind of cut them loose. He starts gathering money from all the dealers to pay for X lookouts, and he also takes some of that money, buys a basketball hoop. He tries to reinvigorate this drug-addled community, and then well, what do you know? Like the hoppers, they just spray paint it, and it's like he reiterates over to Colvin, and like how to be okay with this if there weren't so many goddamn kids here. Now,
Right.
it's a notable part of that missing, but I swear we'll circle back to it. Now we're going on to the streets. Pretty much the catch-all for like Avon, Marlowe, all those guys. This is actually the cold open we have here. Marlowe has actually kind of stepped off his corners. Avon's going to move in. And from that, we see Herc catch a glimpse of Avon. He's like, oh, yeah, I think I locked up that guy. You kind of remember his time with the Wire crew. We go into Bernard. He's doing the burner phone runs, and like his girlfriend's just a giant bitch. Just like gets on him the whole time. Like I don't know why she's there with him. Donette tells Stringer that she told Avon's sister that D'Angelo's it may not be a suicide, and Stringer's not happy about that one bit. He's there. His wife getting angry. Stringer meets with Levy to try to figure out what maybe Brianna discuss about him. He's like, she's gonna look into it. She wants to believe her son didn't kill himself. Here's whatever. Then Bernard's girlfriend convinces him to start buying the burner phones in bulk. I don't know. I mean, I can't remember. It's like a week ago. I don't know what she does to convince him. Maybe a little bit of roadhead that probably did it. Then Omar does one good thing. He was messed up about Bunk's whole decision about him going at him, so he helps him out. He finds Dozerman's gun, gives it to Butchie to get him get Bunk settled up, and then at the end, last thing that happens, at least as far as these guys, Marlowe gonna fight for his corners, puts Snoop and does a little motorcycle drive-by shooting. Doesn't quite kill Poot. I think he just got a bit of a graze. And lastly, we're gonna stop off at the Wire crew. Wire crew is now on Marlowe Stanfield. Everybody's upset. They gotta get off. I can tell Williamson. Daniels brings in McNulty. Say, hey, did you fuck me over? And McNulty's like, goddamn right, I did. Great, great back and forth there. Really, really fun to see. He tells him, listen, once we get a hold of Stringer, you're out. You better find a new home. Freeman wants one of these burner phones so he can kind of figure out the network. So they got to figure that out. Then McNulty actually has a plan to get a burner phone. Says, hey, why don't we just stop Bodie and his crew? We'll just make a little switch. That's what they do. They pop him going towards the free zone. And Bodie's like, oh, we're just going to the free zone. Like, when they're like, oh, what the fuck are you talking about? The fucking free zone. Carver goes up.
Hold on, the fuck? How do you not like run this? Like, so now this stuff's just been running where no one knows about this shit. It's just the group that knows.
I mean, this
so
is
they
the bad
tail
part.
this.
No one
They
really
tail. They tail the situation. They're like, oh, let's just follow them and then we'll bust them. But then they're like, no, the drugs are fine. The drugs, no one's dying. That's the important. Drugs are fine. No one's dying. That's what you need to happen. I was like, the fuck? I'm so mad. Like as if I'm. They're like, what do you mean? Because what was it? Ellis was like, I can't let you do this. What do you mean you can't let us do this? Like, what? It was so funny.
The funny thing is, I was totally against Querns when he tried to do this in Oz. It's pretty much the same thing. But Buddy Coleman was like, listen to the guy. He's making sense.
No.
Man, listen. Crime is down. You heard me in my rundown. Crime is down. It's working. So kind of nailed it. Like, they don't make the arrest. They keep the G-Pack. And then we circle right around back. Herc goes and tells McNulty and Kima, "Hey, I think I saw Avon the other day. They're crazy, right? Oh, what are you talking? What are you talking about, Hark, you ignorant slut? Avon's over at prison. What are you talking about?" And they type on the computer. Turns out Avon got out on parole, and Kima's all pissed, and everybody's all pissed. And
You
the
think?
end of the
You
episode.
think Kima's pissed? He didn't take a bullet or anything for this shit.
I mean, he was away for almost 2 years, so that's good work.
Crazy.
I forgot about that. That's right. Kima did get shot. She should be fucking angry. Avon's already out of parole. But no, I mean, that was a pretty good episode. I liked it. I think we're heading up. I think we're heading up to the right amount of things are certainly on edge, and we're getting we're having trouble like covering up Amsterdam. More and more people are going to start to find out about this, especially since we're among friends at this point, and that's not going to not going to last. I don't know if you guys got anything else to bring up here.
So if McNulty would have given Daniels like a sincere apology for going around his back instead of being like, "Fuck you, you weren't doing your job," do you think Daniels would still be kicking him out of the unit, or was like Daniels is already done with him? There's nothing McNulty could have said in that point. Because I think he was kind of looking for it, McNulty giving him the chance to apologize, but McNulty just doubled down.
McNulty just
McNulty. The only thing that you missed too that I would have said is what did I have here? Kima kind of going full McNulty at home, and she's not having a good relationship, and she pretty much tells her
is that the kid thing?
Partner, that she pretty much just agreed to have the kid just to make her happy.
What a fucking idiot! That's the most McNulty thing possible. Is this one you come in at 3 a.m. Loud as shit, and then you want to. Then this is when you want to say, "I never wanted the kid that we currently have." Oh my god! Like I was just thinking about if I said like that to my wife, like the amount of stairs I would hit on the way down, like I would be dead. And then she ends up waking up the kid and says, "Hey, you need to leave." What is it with everybody that works for this police force gets kicked out of their own home? Everybody's not allowed to sleep where they normally sleep. It is crazy. Daniels gets kicked out. McNulty clearly he bounces from bed to bed. She's now out. Like, holy shit! Rawls's wife's gotta hate him. Like, there's so many people. Like, they probably don't sleep anywhere. Like, this police force is dumb. And the ultimate dumb thing is like, hey, I'm gonna set up this drug corner where murder will be down. We don't know why murder's down, and now everybody's looking into the numbers. Why is his numbers so drastically down? And now they're like, but we're not going to tell anybody. Like, do you realize Oz?
It's better to beg forgiveness than ask permission. So.
Do you realize Oz and The Wire have the same theory on episode? Like, this is their season. Like, if we put all the drugs and let it illegal here, they'll stop killing. In Oz, if we just allow drugs and we did, the killing will stop. It's the same concept, and it sucks both sides. But this time they didn't tell anybody. Same thing with Oz. And then when it comes out, they're like, "Oh, well, you know when it begged for forgiveness in Oz, a guy lost his job. I just want to say, people died."
I don't know. It's something about the delivery, though. It's like I believe Bunny.
Bunny's trying to do the right thing here.
Does he? He sat there for weeks, right? How many episodes? Like, hey, your numbers are still going up. I don't know. Like, what? What do I do?
Communities, everyone's happy. People are out there doing their laundry.
I saw the guy sweeping his stoop. He wasn't able to do that before.
But good episode. I think it's building. I want to see where it goes. I just don't. I'm going to be hard on these 3 episodes because again, I watched them like Saturday, almost 2 Saturdays. So my brain already had trouble 3 days out of watching it normally. Now it's like I'm like, you're mentioning these people. I'm like, Yeah, I guess, man. I guess. I'm gonna have to probably rewatch episode like 9 before I watch like 10, 11, 12 again. But
And this episode did introduce Snoop, and Snoop is one of my favorite characters. But we'll get on to more as we go along. So
We will mention a particular Snoop moment not too far away. Very excited. We're close to that one. All right. Moving on to moral midgetry. Moral midgetry is the 8th episode here. These first couple segments I think are going to blow by pretty fast because I think the main crux here is through these two storylines. Got the political story. Not a ton uh really to get through here. Just we had another council meeting. Tommy can't help himself but attack Burrell like on the witness angle, and sure enough, Teresa's sitting there. She's not super happy. Is like, I can't fucking help herself attack Burrell on there. Then she brings it up in a dinner with his wife. Like, listen, man, talking is only half the battle. You got to get people to like you. That's the only way you're gonna get anywhere in this political world. People gotta like you, and then like that, this crux of the argument she have as a wife, and like it's something for him to work on going forward, which then moves us into Cuddy's story. Little bit of movement there. The deacon helps out Cuddy figure out what he wants to do going forward. He kind of has him meet up with another guy like who works with the youth in, I think, in the Western. Like he kind of has him do like, I don't know, like some after, like looks like some after school program and playing basketball and stuff. Kind of maybe something Cuddy would want to do. Uh, and he ends up finding a building that like hopefully he can turn into a boxing gym, which be I guess that makes sense. We got a bunch of angry kids. Why don't we teach them boxing and they can
hey,
fight in
it
the
worked
ring
for the
together.
prison in Oz. Why not?
Up to a point. And then that moves on to the wire crew. A little bit of movement here. They are trying to figure out the network, kind of figure how they can put a wire up on the burner phones. Prez was able to figure out kind of where this particular burner phone was bought and kind of figure out kind of how they're buying them. He's able to deduce that they're buying them a little by little from shops like around this highway. So Jimmy and Kima start working backwards, trying to track down like where these phones are being bought, and they find a particular store where they remember a guy, and also that there is a camera being pointed out towards the store. Uh, Jimmy then gets involved in an embarrassing moment where he talks to a small town police chief. Uh, has not too many fond things to say about the black community, and of course, this police chief's wife uh, is black, and he's there and his foot in his mouth. He's like, "Hey, you may want to talk to my partner. Like, I think she's somebody you want to meet." And of course, they get a copy of the tape, and then police chief can't help but stop Kima. Is like, your partner, a bit of an asshole. Oh,
yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
and it moves us real quick over to the Western District. Uh, Oh, that's right. We had this fun cold open of the drug dealers being robbed. That was right. That was his episode. Uh, they had pawned into a house thinking they're going to buy some watches. Of course, we see them rolling out there, uh, and they want to file a report on the guy, which makes sense. They got stuff stolen from them, so they want to figure out who did it. Uh, Bunny brings the deacon into Amsterdam. Uh, he, of course, like any sane human being, is horrified by what he's seen. Uh, Talks to him, is like, "Hey, this is fucked up. I mean, you got druggies going everywhere. You got you got like they are not having any livable conditions out here. You got prostitutes going on everywhere. Like this place is hell, man. Like you have no idea what you're doing out here. So he's gonna help them trying to figure out how to fix some things. Just a great awesome moment. He bring in the drug dealers who want to try to figure out like who stole from them, and of course like these guys doing what a bunch of guys do. They're going on that make a face machine. They eventually get sidetracked and making a face of women. And then we get maybe one of the greatest lines ever uttered in television history, like, "Hey, one of these things they do asses." Just great. Uh, but of course, the West Side Cops are now getting fed up with what's going on here. They are wondering whether or not the Amsterdam's ever going to get shut down. Carver able to talk them down, saying, "Listen, Colvin's had our back this whole time. We should have his. He's on his way out anyway. Let's just stay the course." Uh, and of course, Bunny has in our Comstat meeting as hey, your stats are looking really good. You can pump those up anyway. You don't gotta make them too good. All right. Like we don't want to go to jail for any of this shit. But Deacon uh gets Bunny and some into connection with some people that are doing some kind of outreach work, kind of bring in some like STD testing. That kind of trying to make everything more livable out there. Kind of maybe making this Amsterdam thing like more of a full blown thing. But that wraps up the Western District side of the story, which brings us to the streets, Avon Marlowe stuff. Uh, Stringer is upset that there is a little movement on his properties. Of course, like there's a lot of red tape. Can't figure out how to get through. That big developer guy say, "Hey, you gotta go see Senator Davis. He's got to put the wheels on this. He knows like who to bribe to get us going." Clay starts running giving the runaround to Stringers like, "Hey, we just gotta get on this. This is how we get on the fast track. These are the guys, and we gotta grease. And once we get to these guys, we get to this guy, and that leads us to the faucet guy. The
Yeah.
and of course, going over to Avon, gets Slim, get a couple guys to figure out information on Omar. For some reason, we got to poke the bear of Omar. Like even though Omar is just stealing from me, we don't really need to mess with Omar, but Avon wants to get back on Omar, kind of look at social services, figure out who's Marlowe's people. They are able to track down a grandma that Omar has, see where that goes. Jimmy talks to Brianna about D'Angelo, and boy, what a conversation!
No.
Just does some really cold ass shit to her. Like I wanted to find somebody who cared about the kid. Oh, what a fucked up thing to say to a mom. Although somewhat deserved, I think, if
Yeah.
most of this panel would say.
Hmm.
Marlo meets a girl at the club. It's all the great love stories start. He had a good time with this girl in the parking lot. Said, "Hey, we can meet up later if you want." It's like, "All right, cool." Calls her up the next day. Said like, "Hey, like we can go meet at this hotel. We just meet outside this place." But he feels like there's something going on. He knows something isn't quite right. Sends his boy Chris out there to kind of look things up. Snoop sitting in the restaurant notices a guy, orders 4 sandwiches, takes him to a truck sitting outside, and Chris saying, "You know what? This is probably a hit crew." Just gonna drive up in there, fires a shotgun in there. Of course, Avon in the truck with a couple of his hitters. He gets taken back. He gets sewn up, and then that's when we're in this thing meets up with Stringer, and Stringer's talking about his woes. Avon's like worried about like kind of taking corners. Like Stringer wants Avon to stop this war. Like it's like it's fucking him up too much. And then Avon just sets off Stringer. Say, "Hey, you don't know how to be a gangster. You're kind of like you're just you never know what to do." And then he just has to give it to him. Has to give it to him that he set up the D'Angelo hit, and just puts her whole face in the world. great ending, kind of great setup. I don't really want to talk about this one too much. Kind of just want to set over to you guys. I thought it was a fantastic end to this episode. One of the best ones. That's how I knew, like, the D'Angelo thing. Like, I knew we would eventually get to this moment. The crack in Avon and Stringer's relationship. So go ahead.
Yeah, the just disrespect that he had to admit that he set up D'Angelo in such a horrible way to like die and like frame his death. I wish. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think it's an interesting point. Like it works so well of how they present it. When he says it and like Avon like looks at him, like it's like oh shit moment, and then it just goes from there. It's kind of the boil up that I've been waiting for overall, because like Avon's an idiot, in my opinion. He's dumb because he wants these corners and everything, and even though Stringer's like, dude, we don't have to do this anymore, basically. Like, this is not the like properties and everything else that we could just build up our own thing, and we don't have to be so like, and but he's so adamant on those things where they were going to boil over because, hey, you've been away, this is not yours anymore. Like, this is not like it's how it seems to me. Again, not knowing what's coming or what's but so I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was a good episode. Episode was okay up until that point. Like I liked it for the most part. I'm not saying season 3 is bad. This is the jump point I wanted. I hope we like carry on throughout there and like get this. But I was waiting for like something to boil over because it's been political, which I don't mind normally, but it's like I don't need political in this aspect, right? Like I spent so much time with these things, I want to see where it goes. And if I want to see political side, I want to kind of like inside the group, like this stuff. So it's give me what I set up. I can't wait for where it continues. How many episodes we got left in the season?
I think 3 or 4.
6?
Yeah,
Well, 3 or 4?
This is up to 12, so we got 3 more.
Yeah.
Well, 4 counting the one we're going to talk about, but
So it's I can't wait to see where they finish, and and then maybe next season we'll have to go to another location because odd seasons are where you can do back to the wire. The other seasons is maybe the Greeks come back. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a really great episode. There's some really great moments in here. I really liked pretty much Avon kind of underestimating Marlowe and his crew pretty much able to see through that plan real quick and turn around on Avon. I thought that was great. The McNulty conversation with Dee's mom, that was probably one of the best McNulty moments of the show. I thought that was a great scene. And then, of course, at the end there with the whole Avon and Stringer, I mean, they've pretty much been going down 2 different paths. Definitely this whole season, if not probably their whole life. I feel like this is kind of Stringer has always imagined that eventually they would get to the point where they could get beyond all this. But Avon he loves this. This is what he wants to do for the rest of his life. He doesn't want to go straight. He doesn't want to go be the emperor of all the stuff. He just wants to be down in the trenches running everything. So, I mean, eventually this had to happen. And I thought that was a great sequence. They pretty much were able to pull everything out, and Stringer had the bomb he was able to drop about D'Angelo on him. And it kind of just, it pretty much the beginning of the end for these guys. And it's great setup and yeah, great episode.
All right. Finish it up with the last episode of The Wire. Last episode for us for this week. Episode 9, season 3. Slapstick. I know where we're to put this, but I had notable. Cold open. McNulty gets a booty call. Of course, leaves his sons, by themselves. Dad of the year moment. He's like, hey,
another
I gotta
episode
go.
of Father of the Year, yeah.
I just wanted, before you start this, this episode's a perfect callback to how I felt about a certain someone in the first season of this, and he redeemed himself here. He brought himself full circle. Before you get to that, I want that on the record. This man goes back to Dum Dum. Like, Then he left his place. He left his place. I don't know why they let him leave, but he left. And look what happens when he goes to the world. Terrible shit. Terrible shit.
Couldn't help you. We were gonna get there, and he could.
I
not
know.
help
I just I could not help it. Slapstick, slap dick. Like this dude is fucking useless outside in the world. Crazy. I thought it was great.
More on that later.
Well, aside from that, oh well, got to the point. McNulty, he's a great dad. You know,
Great dad.
Starting off, political story once again. Tony Gray finally tells Tommy he's going to run for mayor. Asks him to be his city council president, be on his ticket. He's unaware that Tommy has same aspirations. They also go to Odell Watkins, try to get support from him, although it is kind of one of those meetings where, yeah, we're getting support from Tony, but Tommy's also trying to kind of finagle his way in, maybe try to get Watkins support through this meeting a little bit. Tony's not 100% seeing it. Also didn't really know where to do this, but also McNulty does want to pursue a relationship with Teresa, and they have maybe like the worst dinner date of all time. Like just doesn't work out. It should they shouldn't go out ever again. It was horrible.
McNulty's not a guy you should see during daylight hours.
Absolutely not. He's sitting there with a suit and tie. He's like, "What are we doing here, guy? Like you're just like I mean like." You had the perfect relationship with Rhonda. You get wasted, and then you go see her at 2:00 in the morning. Is perfect for you. This shit, you suit and tie, like it ain't cut it. It ain't doing it. Go over to Cuddy's story. He is making pretty good progress cleaning out this building to turn into a gym. And then old Deacon sees it. Say, hey man, this is great. All you need is the permits. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? The permits. Of course, Cuddy goes to City Hall, goes in all these places. Like, hey, you need to check out this thing's got to have the fire exits. You got to have the sprinklers, like whatever. Like Cuddy is like, I don't even know about any of this shit. Goes to see Deacon's like, hey man, like I don't know what I'm doing here. Like they got me all turned around. Like I don't know what they're fucking asking me. He gets him in touch with some politician types that kind of help him out. He ends up getting hooked up with Odell Watkins, Marla Daniels. She ends up going down with him, and he's able to secure the permits. Just a nice little win for Cuddy. Like he's on his way. He's getting his life on a track. It's just I think it's kind of fun. Like he's one we're gonna continue going off the kind of. And I think he's just a great character to explore for that end. Moving on to the streets, the Avon story. The co-op is at about up to here with everything's going on with Avon and Marlowe. They wanted Stringer to put a cap on this. Like you gotta control your boy. He's just going off, putting bodies on the streets. Not good for us. A couple of people in the Barksdale gang. They try to take a swing at Omar. He's trying to just take his sweet little grandma to church. They get the authorization though to hit him like on a Sunday, and of course Omar sees these two guys coming in, and they get shot at a taxi cab. Not great. Slim Charles, not happy. They try to attack Omar's grandma on a Sunday. What do
They
we
shot
think
her
on
crown.
a Sunday truce? We're a criminal enterprise that traffics drugs and kills people on second thought, but killing people on a Sunday. What are we thinking, guys?
Have some decency. What the fuck?
So after that, of course, Omar, very upset. Wants to get back on Stringer and Avon, going back at him. Kimmy, not happy about it. She says, "Nah, I'm just into this for the money. You got an obsession with these guys. We're done. Like I'm out." Omar also cuts ties with his boy lover, saying, "No, I gotta do this on my own." So there's nothing to do with you guys. So Omar singularly going after Avon and Marlowe, not Avon and Stringer at this point. Prop Joe tries to bring Marlo in the co-op. It tries to get him to see the brighter thing. He says, you come in on us, you'll be able to keep your corners. Uh, Definitely something that's not going to sit well with Avon. Stringer is denied a certification of being the developer. Very upset because he thought his bribe would have worked. I don't know. We gave him a bunch of fucking money. Like he, of course, he gets angry at Clay Davis. Thinks he's getting the runaround. Then leads into a conversation with Brianna, where Stringer and Avon trying to talk her down, and then Avon just has tiny little slip up and like, I didn't have anything to do with it, and like, oh, what do you fucking mean have anything to do with it? What are you talking about? Like, well, what is this bullshit? So she leaves, being suspicious of both of them. Kind of goes into later stuff. Going to Western District part of the story. Bunny still plans to retire. Crime is still down. Deacon, though, he is worried about what's going to happen after he retires because this is definitely something. Amsterdam at this point is kind of a runaway train. We get hand off to the wrong person, great, like bad shit could happen. Something that I don't think Bunny has thought about up to this point. Uh, there is though a dead body, just discovered right outside the free zone. Carver sees it. Carver gets the bright idea. Hey, why don't we just like move this down the thing? Like Herc is like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Why we do that?" He tries to give him the help. Herc tells him, "Shove the stripes up your ass." Like I'm not doing that shit. Uh, Carver moves the body down, although Herc makes the move to call the newspaper. So now a word is now bound to get out. The homicide detectives get called in to investigate the body, and of course they figure out that the body has been moved. They found casings, but kind of closer to the free zone. So now we're starting to be fucked here. Uh, Bunny appreciates Carver's loyalty, but goes in and tells in those drug guys like, "Hey, we got to find a shooter for this ASAP, or else like we're going down. Like this good streak is gonna end if we don't find the guy." Of course, as part of Stringer's crew, is able to bring him in, and of course, I guess his guys are going to jail. Boo hoo for that guy. Uh, Ends off that, and then going in to
So
the
is
wire.
that the person that actually did it, or they're just like, "Hey, you got to take the fall for this, so we don't lose Amsterdam"?
Oh no, it definitely sounded like he did it because he said that
Okay.
guy made fun of his shoes.
Oh, okay.
So that's why he shot him.
Mm,
Yeah,
fair.
it's understandable. I would have done the same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, if I had a gun handy, like everybody made fun of my New Balances,
I mean, shoes are expensive. You gotta respect them.
so goes into the wire. Last thing going to the wire crew story. Freeman tells uh, McNulty like has kind of a fun part with at least Freeman here, where McNulty gets all high and mighty, saying, "Hey, there's only a handful of cops that can do what we're doing," and then Freeman's like, "Oh, like how do you think this ends? Like we're just gonna be, we're just gonna have a parade celebrating Jimmy McNulty on the old Jimmy McNulty Day. Like you gotta find something else other than the job. You're not gonna have any fulfillment here. That it's just gonna end like all cases end, and you're just gonna be sitting alone, just yourself. Like it's no good for you. Kind of a
Mhm.
nice little moment that him and Freeman there. Of course, they're still trying to work on getting a wire up on the burner phones. They're starting to tail Bernard, trying to get him buying new phones. They also were able to get Bubbles uh, to get Bodie to make a call on his phone for the re-up. Has a kind of fun scene where he tries to bulk buy stuff. They go by the wireless company to try to get the wire up on the phones as soon as possible, saying, I don't know, a bunch of red tape is going to take like 30 days or so. Which, of course, Rhonda doesn't like that, saying, hey, we're going to sue your asses if you try to fuck with us. And tries to go to the FBI to try to make turn around faster. They're like, I don't know, man, 5 days, that's good as you're going to get. Then the crew gets hungry, and they task Prez and McNulty to go out for Chinese. I gotta be honest, like I've seen the show a bunch of times. I get pits in my stomach every time I hear, "Hey, you guys hungry? How about some Chinese?" I hate this part of the show so goddamn much. I hate it so much. They're going out to get some Chinese. Here on the radio, there's some disturbance going on. So McNulty and Prez go to investigate. McNulty hears some shots, goes and see Prez standing over a body. He had just shot him. Of course, guy turns out to be a cop.
Turns out to be a cop. Jesus, what a fucking idiot.
He saw a guy with a gun.
No. One, why does he have a firearm? Two, why is he out of his room? Three, those are the two you send? The most two, like, no. And, like, not to jump ahead, but Daniels even asks him in the thing, is like, did you say, like, police? I don't know what I said. Yeah, you don't fucking think. You sit there and do great with numbers and figure out codes and shit like that, but you shouldn't have a firearm in your hands. He shot what didn't he tested it episode 1 or 2, but then he's got a quick I got an easy trigger on this. He shoots it in a place with a bunch of people. He uses that same gun to blind a 14-year-old and starts and gets his car torched. And
they should have given maybe a taser at best.
And then you send him to get Chinese food, and these two try to get into a gunfight. And he's the one you leave. Oh my! I literally went there, and when he's laying on the ground and Prez is standing there, I didn't even know. I said, "That's a cop. That's a fucking cop." I didn't have any clue before the badge was revealed. I was like, it has to be, because this moron doesn't shoot the right person. He shoots the wrong person.
It does continue the trend that in 3 seasons, Prez is the only police officer to fire his gun.
Prez?
Yeah.
Prez is going to fuck shit up. McNulty is going to fucking drink. And Rawls is going to bitch. It's like the guaranteed 100% 3 out of 3. Nuts. I was dumbfounded. I was like, no, you fucking call that, like, they had to drive for it? No, you do not send these two blubbering idiots to go get fucking Chinese.
The saddest part for me too is when he tells Daniels to tell Lester I'm sorry that I let him down. And then Daniels tells him, you guys need to send somebody home with this guy. He's on suicide watch.
Jeez. Yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead. I want to see the defense. Go ahead. You better put your best defensive lawyer hat on this one.
Like, I'm not going to super defend Prez, but I just say, like, I hate this part. Like, I do like this part a lot. Like, I like this moment so much just because of where the show, where it forces to put you at this, because
and there's a whole other element too, that it was a black police officer.
That too. Like,
yeah. Set up race. There it is. Oz and this are doing jogs together.
I think this one singular moment, I think, just kind of illustrates just kind of why I love this show. Because Prez, we started out at maybe like the worst possible point we could with him. He was a total fuck up. He has that moment that some people on the show can let go. Fucks up a kid, hits him. He's directionless, and we see him slowly get molded into a good investigator. He finds his element, and we just see him get small win after small win after small win, and to the point where we like this guy. Even though he started out at such a bad spot, we like him. we like Prez, or at least I do. Not everybody in this room likes Prez, but I did. I like him. I want to see him do good.
I like him. I took it back. Because, like, I said this, cancel me if you'd like. He has autism. He has it. It was before you could say it on or classify it. He does, and that's fine. He doesn't understand, like, the social environment of being a police, but he's good at what he does when he's in. I don't blame Perez for shooting this guy. I blame the jackasses that let him have a gun and sent him out to get Chinese food. You just don't. One, you have McNulty, which is a hothead, which is going to, like, if something goes wrong, he's going to just fly off. Both of them, when they heard gunshots, they both should not have pursued. That's insanity. They should have just called for backup and then explored. But you know what they do? McNulty, and then he's spinning the car around like he's fucking like a speed racer. Like, what? No, you two don't do this.
And anybody else would have told Prez, you stay in the car. Let me go check this out.
Right. And so I don't blame Prez, but he's just not fit to be a field officer. He's an in-house officer, and they put him in field situations which he has no place in being. And then when he comes back, you're like, oh, he shot somebody. You fucking shocked? Like, the guy was trigger happy in the fucking department. Now we're letting him out in the wild.
I mean, the guy has no place being a police officer. Yes, he found a niche. He finds some nice moments, but he should have never even got to those moments. He should have been fired like 3 times in the first season if it wasn't for his father-in-law.
He should have listened to his father-in-law and got promoted and just never have to do field work again. He would be great at that. Numbers-based, sending out people, managing details, finding out things. That's him.
Yeah.
Not, hey, I heard a gunshot, now I'm going to take my gun out. And it was pitch black at night, like dark as shit. He has no indication. He doesn't know how to announce he's the police, which that guy would have responded, police. No, he's a pa, pa, pa. Dead. Oh, shit.
Which, yeah, I was leading to the exact point you guys are bringing up, is that he shouldn't be a cop. But I feel like how the show leads us to this conversation is fantastic, because at the end of the day, we are kind of sitting here being sort of conflicted of how we feel about Prez as a character. And there are very few shows, I think, that it can fully develop a character, I think, the way that The Wire can. And just, especially with somebody like Prez, who's like maybe like the 8th most important character on this show, and he still gets a full-fledged arc.
Oh yeah.
Here. And, yeah, that will do it for this week for The Wire.
Yeah, brilliant. I think it's brilliant to go right into it. You have that intrigue. Now with this political landscape of The Wire, for a white officer to shoot a black officer, and they're already tracking murders heavily this season. It's just added on to where the show could end. I want to see how this police procedural ends, because people have to go to jail at the end of this. Somebody a group of them have to be locked away for it to make sense. It's back-to-back seasons, so if they don't do this, I'm really confused. But overall, after reminding of episode 9, because again, I'm been removed for this for a week and a half, and I went on a binge on another show. I was lost, but reminding myself of what happened, really great, and I'm really excited for 10, 11, 12. I want to see where they close out, because I think this is arguably way better than the first 2 seasons by a good margin already, how I'm feeling. They just got to close strong for me. It would be really hard for them to fuck this up, and they did a perfect thing, and it's like calling that right-handed reliever out of the bullpen, Perez to fuck shit up. Let's go, buddy! Oh, that's that guy you trust. Oh, there's a home run. The game's over. We lose. Yeah, Perez shot somebody. Genius. Because even when The Wire gets in their own way numerous times, they always have to find a way to fuck themselves. Not the people. They've got to internally fuck themselves. Her getting shot. All the stuff sets up. They think they're good. Not so fast. Yeah, so I'm excited.
Who's the guy from the Mets that has that really cool walk-on song that's like the horns? Like,
Edwin
did you hear
Diaz.
that music
Edwin
playing
Diaz.
when you hear that music playing?
And he's just Prez like, all right, time to go fuck some shit up, guys. I'm here. 32 miles an hour down the fucking dick, just right at it. Just like, shit, did I do that? He put a lot of bullets in that fucker, too. He emptied his damn
Did he shoot him in the
clip.
back or did he shoot him in the front?
I think the front.
Okay.
I think he got. I
So the
think
guy
they
at
shot him
least
in the
turned
head.
around and he saw the gun. Yeah.
He shot him in the head and multiple, and he just like he done, and he didn't miss. Motherfucker, don't miss. He didn't miss.
Listen, it was textbook, okay? Cops say you got to aim center mass. Exactly what he did.
I mean, he didn't miss his squad car. He didn't miss the wall.
You know what?
He doesn't miss.
It only missed with one of them saying, "Hey guys, don't fuck this up or don't screw." Like leaving the door, like, "Okay, boss, we're fine." Just like, he should have just pulled like 2 revolvers out and just done. But great, I'm ready to wrap up season 3. I think it goes very high on our season ranking list if it closes strong.
It should.
We'll see.
Okay, Matt, you got anything?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty much just echoing everything we said so far. Great episode. Yeah, looking forward to see. I'm excited. Last weekend was kind of rough because I was looking forward to watching all the shows, but this weekend get to watch everything, so it's gonna be good.
Yeah. We will I think coming up pretty soon. I think we'll wait till like we're all in season 5, or maybe the end of 4 of Wire. We'll tease what we're doing in between our season 2 break. Get people ready for that, or at least get us ready for that, because we'll be talking about it. And then at the end of this season, at the end of the show, season 1, we will tell what's happening in season 2 and the shows that we have picked. So, yeah, we're heading towards a good thing. We only had 1 hiccup week in 11 weeks. Most podcasts end in 3 weeks, so we're well ahead of that schedule. But we'll be back next week. We will be wrapping up The Wire. So Mark will go last again. We will be middle of Breaking Bad, and then we will be middle of season 5, but season 4 of Oz, because it's got 16 episodes, so that should be fun. So we will be there, and maybe Mike will show up.
Maybe.
Chances are probably not, but look out for him if he shows up. We'll see you next week.
We'll get him back at some point, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Bye.